remember when Donald Trump was reelected, Wall Street was thrilled, excited about deregulation, tax cuts, and the fact that you could once again call people sugar tits.
One top banker told the paper that he feels liberated because now he can use offensive slurs like the R word and the P word without fear of getting canceled at work.
The R word and the P word? Well, I can tell you today that that top banker is definitely using both of those words. Perhaps even adding motherfucker right now.
The market meltdown for the third straight day. Global markets are sinking.
Markets across Asia, Europe, and Australia plunging.
At one point this morning, the Dow sinking almost 1,600 points.
The markets lost more than $6.5 trillion in value.
This is an economic Armageddon.
Where's a Hawaiian shirt to an economic Armageddon? What are we doing here? They pull you in from the pool? You the Financial Channel's Rodney Dangerfield or something? I told my wife about the stock plunge. She said, "Oh, I thought you guys would never go down there." No. Haven't done that one in a while. So. This turmoil could have lasting effects on the global economy, on everyday Americans, and most worryingly, the stock portfolios of members of Congress. Mr. President, now is the time to soothe a worried nation.
Donald Trump put this out on social media. Don't be weak, don't be stupid, don't be a panikin, which he has termed a new party based on weak and stupid people.
Panican? The genius who gave us classics like Sleepy Joe and Crooked Hillary just shit out "You're a Panican"? How about hysterocrats? Rapussicans? How about cryontologists? Did the overseas factory you had been sourcing your nicknames from get shut down during the tariff war? So we're going to try this again, Mr. President. Can you ease the fears of this nation like a true leader?
President Trump holding firm, posting on Truth Social, only the weak will fail.
What are you doing? Your economic policy has the same tagline as season 3 of Squid Game? That's supposed to make us feel better? Only the weak shall die in my economy. By the way, in case you didn't get the point that he doesn't give a he spent the weekend showing, not telling. He played not a round of golf this weekend, a tournament of golf, a 3-day tournament. 812 holes of golf with his Live Golf Saudi benefactors. And in case you're wondering about the venerated journalists who are now allowed to be in the press pool, this was literally the first question he was asked on Air Force One in the middle of a financial meltdown.
How was the golf tournament?
Very good, because I won. It's good to win. You heard I won, right? Did you hear I won?
Because I won. You heard I won. You heard I won. I won. You heard I won. I won. Mom, I won. Mom! I won the tournament, Mom. I'm a good boy. Good boy, good golf. I know the stock market is not the totality of the economy, but if I remember correctly, in the run-up to the election, Trump seemed very concerned about the stock market.
If Harris wins this election, the result will be a Kamala economic crash, a 1929-style depression.
And anything she can do, I can do better. I can do it on my own. I won, Mom. Hey, Mom. Hey, Mom, look. Hey, Mom, look. No economy. Please love me. And it didn't have to happen like this. Trump had so many options to shape the world economy into the one he thought was fairer. He could have proposed some incentives to bring back manufacturing. He could have gone sector to sector, nation to nation, negotiate better trade reciprocal agreements. But he had to go to full Teresa. Now, to be fair, to the Trump administration, they did give it almost 2 months and no effort before they asked ChatGPT what it thought they should do. But for those of us who've been tricked into believing that an economic crisis is a crisis, Trump's people have an answer.
Don't panic. Calm down. Everything's going to be okay.
I would not worry at all.
The Dow's actually in the same place it was in August.
Do me a favor. Don't look at your stock portfolio.
You know what? I don't really care about my 401k.
Live, laugh, love. That's what I always say. You know what I say, don't you? It's 401k somewhere. And when did the right become so chill? Aren't you the Bud Lights turning my kids trans, folks? But economic meltdown and you're getting all philosophical?
Losing money costs you nothing. This is just the reality of life. Were you young and dumb? How much money did you lose? Everyone loses money. Everyone loses money. It costs you nothing.
Except money. Losing money costs you money. It's the definition of losing money. And I know you go, well, it's going to be worth it to get the character of the country that we want back again. But we have no f***ing idea if that's actually what's going to happen. You're all acting like the tariff regime is a tried and true remedy. Oh, of course, this is the medicine that's always prescribed. Except the last time it was tried 100 years ago, we had a Great Depression. So how does this work?
It's just a big game of economic operation as he's sticking things in, trying to take out tariffs.
It's like, when you're my age, you got to get a colonoscopy. You need a full colonic, to feel better. You know what I mean?
Rat poison can kill somebody in the wrong dosages, but in the right dosages, that can be very healthy for the patient.
So everyone relax. This is merely a routine rat poison colonoscopy. By the way, what's the right dosage of rat poison? Oh, if you get enough of it, hey, your headache will be gone. And by the way, it's slightly off topic, but the colonoscopy guy, his name is Jon Tobacco. That's a witness protection thing, isn't it? Yeah. So here's how it's going to go. Your new name is Jon Tobacco. Say it back to me, Jon Tobacco. Your name is Jon Tobacco. Say it back to me, Jon Tobacco. Your new profession is you do anus metaphors on Newsmax. Your name is Jon Tobacco. You do anus metaphors. Say it back to me. Say it back to me. By the way, if Trump wants us to stay the course with his radical plan, you might want to think of a strategy that inspires our confidence, that you all know what you're doing. Like for instance, these tariffs. Is this a negotiation?
The president made it clear yesterday this is not a negotiation.
Let me make this very clear. This is not a negotiation. This is not that. This is a national emergency.
Okay, it's a national emergency. It's not a negotiation. Well, I don't agree, but at least I have some clarity now.
The tariffs give us great power to negotiate. Always have.
Too much rat poison. So what is this a negotiation or is this permanent?
They can both be true. There can be permanent tariffs and there can also be negotiations.
How much White Lotus did you people watch? What is permanence in this negotiated life we live? Have a pina colada. Forget about if they're permanent or not permanent. What are we doing? How will this bring jobs back? What are these jobs? Commerce Secretary Lydic.
Trillions of dollars of factories are going to be built in America. The army of millions and millions of human beings screwing in little screws to make iPhones. That kind of thing is going to come to America.
This is also that millions of Americans can develop the dexterity. I can't even get the lint out of the charging area on my phone. Now I got to do the. Those are the jobs?
That kind of thing is going to come to America. It's going to be automated, and great Americans, the trade craft of America, is going to fix them. Mechanics fixing robotics. That's what's coming to America.
So it's not the screws. We're going to be robot mechanics. The robots do the screwing, and we're just there to make sure the robots are lubed. And ready to screw. That is the American Renaissance. We are robot fluffers. We are waiting. This is all. So if I'm an American manufacturer, how long do these onerous tariffs have to stay in place to convince me to build my army of automated screw and robot mechanics?
They are definitely going to stay in place for days and weeks.
Jon Stewart from Popular Robot Mechanics. I've never built a fully automated robot factory before, but is days and weeks enough time? Or too much time? Feels like it would take a month. Well, I guess that's silver lining number one of this trade war. Want something even more underwhelming? Here's the Treasury Secretary on if we've heard the good news on the stock collapse.
One thing that I can tell you as the Treasury Secretary, what I've been very impressed with is the market infrastructure, that we had record volume on Friday, and everything is working very smoothly, so the American people, they can be very, take great comfort in that.
Blink twice if you want to be saved. I was very impressed that in the market crash, the building is still standing. You know, the captain of the... I was very impressed by the way that the Titanic just slid into the water. Just almost like it was taking a bath. Just dipping a toe. Those drowning should take great comfort in the lack of backsplash. But their best argument so far for any of this is the same one that we got about Tinkerbell being able to fly. You have to believe.
Don't panic, okay? You've got a president who understands business.
I am grateful for a commander-in-chief that has the business acumen.
Luckily, we have a businessman in the White House right now.
The president did write the book, The Art of the Deal.
Trump is a master negotiator, and he does know the art of the deal.
We're supposed to trust this guy because he wrote The Art of the Deal? That's it. You ever say, I got the book, Art of the Deal? Yeah, that's why we're supposed to trust him? You ever look at Chapter 9 in Art of the Deal? It's about how smart Trump is about his casino in Atlantic City. Oh, yeah, Chapter 9. I built a casino in Atlantic City. I'm a business genius. Whatever happened to the casino, Donald? Trust me. Look, you make a big announcement, but your reciprocal tariff formula was just the trade deficit divided by imports equation. And when you got busted on that, you threw out this ridiculous calculus problem that's just shapes. That it boils down to the trade deficit divided by imports, which is the formula that got the rich country of Lesotho hit with 50% tariffs. Lesotho. Yo, your free ride's over, you denim-making fat cats. But we continue to blame everybody else in the world that we designed and policed after World War II. We're the richest country in the world, ever. We're not the world's victims. If we have inequalities in this country, that's on us. It's not a supply problem. It's not unfair trade for the most part. It's an investment and distribution problem. It's our fault. And I'm not saying we can't make adjustments and renegotiate things, but it didn't have to be this reckless. You killed the hostage and then went, so ransom?
Some of the biggest stock market declines since the Great Depression.
The worst 3 consecutive sessions since 1987.
Even worse than it was during the 2008 financial crisis.
Their worst day since June 2020 during the COVID pandemic.
Financial destruction not seen since the pandemic. And this time, there's no controversy over how it all started. There's no wet market. You, Trump, released the Contagion. It's your lab leak. And it's right out in the open. This is like if the researchers at the Wuhan Institute of Virology walked out to the Great Lawn with a Tupperware and went, "We have an exciting announcement."
It's been 1 week since Donald Trump announced his bold vision for destroying the economy, and guess what? His plan is working.
After another chaotic day on Wall Street, America's CEOs are sounding the alarm.
Most CEOs I talk to would say we are probably in a recession right now.
A new CNBC survey showing those concerns are widespread, with 69% of CEOs expecting a recession and 82% expecting resurgent inflation.
This is a snapshot of the Dow since President Trump's inauguration, after dropping more than 15% since its record high, putting it into correction territory.
I'm not an economist, but it's probably a bad sign when the chart itself looks like it jumped off the roof. Look at that drop. Six Flags is going to make a roller coaster of that. Mom, I want to ride the Dow Jones. We can't afford it. So the economy is incredibly unstable right now. The only upside is that this crash is much easier to understand than the 2008 one. Remember The Big Short, where they had to have Margot Robbie explain it in a bathtub? Here's how that would go today.
Trump did it.
Thanks, Margot. Thank you. So the president may have single-handedly tipped us into a global recession. And with so much uncertainty, the world is glued to the financial news networks, who are surely focusing on this story 24/7. Right, Fox Business?
The president welcomes the World Series champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers, to the White House. He was funny. He was entertaining.
Yes, that's definitely the big story. The president made new friends today. So yes, economists are afraid that we're headed into a recession, but don't worry, things could still improve quickly as long as Trump de-escalates soon.
President Trump escalates his trade war with more threats against China.
President Trump is now promising a new 50% tariff on China, on top of the other new tariffs, which are on top of existing tariffs. Combined, this would make U.S. tariffs on imports from China a whopping 104%.
104% tariffs? Okay, this is getting really serious. We'll know exactly how serious once we ask China to do the math for us, but point is, Trump is out of control right now. I'd say he's like a bull in a china shop, but at 104%, I can't afford to say that. It's really starting to feel like the entire world is teetering on the brink of chaos. It's honestly impossible to report on literally anything else right now, right, Fox News?
A women's pool championship in the UK with no women in the final round after two transgender players defeated their female opponents to face off for the title.
No, not the British women's pool tournament. That's America's favorite pastime. But the tariffs aren't just tearing apart our economy and tearing apart America's trade with China. They're also tearing apart Donald Trump's friends.
An internal battle over Trump's tariffs between top advisor Peter Navarro and Elon Musk.
This is a behind-the-scenes rivalry that's now exploding into public view between Elon Musk and Peter Navarro, two very different wings of the Trump administration.
Ooh, I have to pick between Elon Musk and Peter Navarro? This is like the trolley problem, if the problem was that you only have one trolley. But you know what? This is actually a substantive debate. Elon likes free trade. Peter Navarro likes the tariffs. Let's start with Navarro's argument.
Elon's a car manufacturer, but he's not a car manufacturer. He's a car assembler. If you go to his Texas plant, a good part of the engines that he gets, which in the EV case is the batteries, come from Japan and come from China. The electronics come from Taiwan. And he wants the cheap foreign parts, and we understand that. But we want him home.
Okay, that's a compelling point. Peter Navarro thinks Musk is taking advantage of unfair trade policies at the risk of American prosperity. Elon, what's your response?
Musk calling him a moron and dumber than a sack of bricks.
And there's the latest, calling him Peter Retardo.
Powerful counterpoint. Powerful. God, I hope Elon Musk never has to defend himself in court. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, gay! I rest my case. Getting this glimpse into Trump's team of dumb rivals is even more disturbing. The president is sending the economy off a cliff. Business leaders are furious with him. His team is tearing each other apart, and the two biggest economies on the planet are entering a trade war. It might be time for the news organizations that supported him to come to terms with why they supported him in the first place. What do you say, Newsmax?
This is a remarkable moment that has come to light all over again. Back in 1992, Donald Trump threw a football through a hole designed for one football. Is that amazing or what?
Put me down for or what? Last Wednesday, Donald Trump announced that in 1 week, he was going to impose the biggest increase in tariffs in 100 years. And after a week of panic buying a year's supply of toilet paper and air fryers, the day has finally arrived.
It is 11:59 and 48 seconds, which means we are just moments away from the president's new tariffs.
It's President Trump's long-awaited tariff day.
It's reciprocal tariff day.
Well, the tariffs are here.
All right, it is tariff day.
Happy Tariff Day, everyone! It's what Trump is replacing Juneteenth with. Now, Trump is celebrated by putting tariffs on every country in the world, including 104% on products made in China, which is probably fine. I mean, how many products are made in China? But Tariff Day wasn't just celebrated here in America. Other countries got in on the fun, too.
Swift retaliation. Both China and the European Union are responding to President Trump's tariffs. China has announced its own retaliatory tariffs, 84% on all U.S. goods it imports.
According to the European Union, almonds, orange juice, poultry, soybeans, steel and aluminum products, tobacco, and yachts imported from the United States now will have a 25% levy on them.
25% on yachts? Why do these trade wars always have to screw over the little guy? I'll be honest, I didn't even know America made yachts. I thought the only thing we made here was Nepo babies. But this really feels like it's spiraling out of control. It seems like the smart move is to back off this whole thing. But Trump's team has been adamant that they will stay the course.
This is not a negotiation.
It's not the kind of thing you can negotiate away.
I don't think there's any chance that President Trump's going to back off his tariffs.
The president made it clear yesterday this is not a negotiation.
Trump posted this morning, my policies will never change.
Well, that's it then. They're in it to win it. Full speed ahead. From the window to the walls. Skeet, 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 motherfuckers. Trump's policy will never, ever change.
This is CNN breaking news.
The president announcing just minutes ago that he's now, quote, authorized a 90-day pause on some of his new tariffs.
What? The trade war's over? But it's tariff day. I shaved my legs for this. Now I have to grow it all back. But hey, at least we can buy things from China again, right? I mean, Amazon Prime, here I come.
Notably, though, the president is raising the tariff applied to China from the United States to 125% effective immediately. So this pause applies to other countries, not China.
Hey, Siri, cancel 1,000 air fryers. Trump, I don't understand what happened here. You tanked global stock markets. You put us on the verge of a recession. You told everyone to build factories in America because the tariffs wouldn't go away. And then you took them away. What happened? Did you just get spooked by the markets?
The 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs, is that because of the whiplash that we've been seeing across the financial markets?
No, this was his strategy all along.
An absolutely brilliant move.
Brilliant, not only economically, politically, and it was good for the American worker.
He's negotiator in chief. He's landing the plane. It's the master of the deal.
I mean, you're watching the art of the deal in real time here.
Many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal.
Yes, the art of the deal. Create a global crisis and then dig yourself halfway out. It's truly masterful, Donald. I'm starting to think that the art of the deal is art in the way that Jackson Pollock is art. Like, it looks like someone just threw a bunch of shit at the wall, but now I have to pretend like it's genius and it's going to cost millions of dollars. Come at me, abstract expressionism hive. You know I'm right. Come on, Trump, just admit that you started a game of chicken and you got too scared to finish it.
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid.
Oh. Okay, it's our fault. We got too scared. Sorry. I tend to get a little yippy when my retirement plan starts to look like the elevator from The Shining. In heavy flow. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be dramatic, but this is the worst tariff day ever. This whole trade war was launched on incoherent arguments. You stuck to your guns for incoherent reasons, and now you're pulling back for incoherent reasons. Is there anything you can say that actually makes sense?
No other president would have done what I did. No other president.
Well, you got me there. Donald Trump had a rough week. His beautiful economy crashed because some dum-dum came and tariffed every country on the planet. He tried to save it yesterday, but the markets are still crashing today because, again, some absolute moron keeps ramping up the trade war against China. But in moments like this, there's one thing a serious leader does. Gather up all your closest friends on your payroll and make them say nice things about you.
Thank you for your leadership and thank you for everything you're doing.
Your leadership at the border, absolutely remarkable.
I want to thank you as well for the shipbuilding.
I want to thank you for standing up to the Chinese Communist Party.
What you're doing now, I think, is a great service to our country, but ultimately to the world.
You were overwhelmingly elected by the biggest majority. The U.S. Americans want you to be president.
Your vision is a turning point and an inflection point in American history.
Ooh. Wow, what do you even say to that?
I'm going to come.
No, stop it! Stop it! Not that. But let's be fair, serving in Trump's cabinet isn't just photo ops at the White House. They also do photo ops out in the field. Although with Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem, this was less like a photo op and more like a photo, whoa, 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 watch where you point that thing.
Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem is taking heat today for her latest viral video.
Here we are with Marco and Brian today.
She's posing with two federal agents pointing a gun right at the agent's head.
Give it up for Friendly Fire Barbie, everyone. To be fair, this is Kristi Noem, and these agents were wearing dog tags. You know, I'm starting to wonder if maybe she actually shot her dog by accident while taking a family photo. Fido, get in here. Oh, never mind, just people. So Trump's cabinet has been very active. At today's meeting, Tulsi Gabbard said she's going to stop election rigging. Pam Bondi said she'll seek a 20-year prison term for someone who vandalized a Tesla. And RFK Jr. announced that he'll get fluoride out of the water. So congrats in advance to your dentist on his new Bentley. But don't worry, they're leaving the big issues to the president himself.
The Biden administration launched what you've called a war on showers.
Ah, yes. Yes, the war on showers, a fight Steve Bannon has been on the front lines of his whole life. Now, most people probably didn't even realize we were in a war on showers because no one in the Biden administration ever accidentally added a reporter to the war on showers group chat. But in all seriousness, I know the war on showers very well, okay? My uncle actually lost his leg from stepping on a bath bomb. It's never been the same. But luckily, that war is now coming to an end.
Certain regulations that basically killed the water pressure of showers and other water appliances. With this executive order, we're effectively going to be reversing that set of regulations.
In my case, I like to take a nice shower to take care of my beautiful hair. I have to stand under the shower for 15 minutes till it gets wet. It comes out drip, drip, drip. It's ridiculous.
It takes 15 minutes for your hair to get wet? Are you sure you're not standing in the pantry? The water pressure is terrible in here, and we're out of Cheez-Its. But if you're as big of a Trump head as I am, you know that water pressure is not a new issue for him. He's been passionate about this crisis for a while.
Take a shower and water comes dripping out. Just dripping out, very quietly dripping out. Sinks, right? Showers. You take a shower, the water doesn't come out. It's the shower, it's the sink, and you know the third element in the bathroom. People have to flush their toilet 15 times. 10 times, right? 10 times. Wow, Bob. Turn on the shower. Ding, ding. It goes drip, 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 drip. Please, come out the water. Come on, water. Come out, baby.
Oh, come out, baby, please. Come out for daddy. Has he ever said anything more embarrassing?
I'm gonna come.
Stop doing that! Stop it! But guys, we did it. We found the one issue Donald Trump has stayed consistent on. It is literally the dumbest issue ever, but we'll take it. But this is still a major announcement, which is why Fox News deployed its most sophisticated journalism technique, talking to old people at a diner.
Your thoughts about your chance of having water pressure strong again in the shower?
That's just fine with me. I think you should. I think it ought to blow the skin off of it if you want it that way.
We don't want to blow the skin off. The epidermis is quite vital.
Kill me. Don't act like that guy is the weird one. You're the one walking around a diner going, tell me what you do in the shower. By the way, why are you talking to the men in here? You got to talk to these ladies. That's a group of ladies excited about a stronger shower head. Am I right? Yeah, they get it. They get it. Still, I'm not sure the majority of Americans want their skin blown off. Anyone else want to chime in about water pressure?
So tell me about what you picture now that water pressure will be great again.
I have to stand there for 2 or 3 minutes for the water to even get warm.
Yeah, that's a different thing. This is not just an open forum for general shower complaints. The water's too cold, and I don't like how it tastes. It should taste like Hawaiian punch. Is there anyone in this diner Brian Kilmeade can have a normal interaction with?
How old are you?
I'm 12.
Do you even remember the way it used to be in 2008 before Barack Obama came in?
No.
He just told you he was 12. Do you even know what year it is? Excuse me, little boy, where were you for the moon landing? A kid was born in 2012. He doesn't remember Obama as president. He's probably like, Obama, is that the guy who puts out the Spotify playlist?